Terry Davis, I think people would describe him as really, really funny. He was always making people laugh and he was a big jokester, but he was also very, I almost said the word militant, but it would make sense. Like he was very structured and believed in rules and right and wrong. And that was just like how he was us growing up. So he was in the military when I was born, and then he went to Japan. And while he was in Japan, my parents got divorced. And so he had signed up for more time in the military, and so he stayed there and we came back home. So I didn't really feel like I met my dad until I was like 5, and that's when he came home from Japan. And so we were laughing because they always had like I called him my dad in Japan. It wasn't just my dad; he was my dad in Japan, and he would send dolls and gifts and stuff to me. So and we'd have cassette recordings that I would get from him. So it was a cool thing with growing up with having a dad overseas. And then I got to meet him when he came home, and he came home with my stepmom. And so it was, I mean, I'm blessed. Like, I am very blessed, though. I had two sets of parents, so I'm good. But he was always wanting to take us places, to give us experiences as kids, even though he didn't have us all the time. And so while we were driving the car, he would do I don't even know what they're called, like songs. Like we would have to repeat after him. So he would be like, C-140 on the strip. And then we would have to say it, C-140 on the strip. It's
Cadence.
That's what it, okay, that's what it is. We would do all those all the time and singing songs about meeting girls in bars and sipping bourbon through straws and like all these things that was like what, and we thought it was the best thing ever. So I have good memories of that. And he would take us camping and Hearst Castle and movies, and we'd go to the park and play baseball. And it was just a very fun dad. But yeah. Yeah. So he actually unfortunately passed away in 2020. So recently. So what we used to do for birthdays is we would go to Black Bear Diner. I don't know why Black Bear, but that's where we would go. And so now in October, we'll go to Black Bear just to remember him. That is the biggest one. We go to Black Bear and we have a between my siblings, we'd all have like his sayings, and we would see something, we text it to my brothers, and then they're like, oh, dad would say this and dad would say that. And we have all these sayings because he was always like full of, like, if anybody asked how are you, he's all fair in the middle. And yeah, if anybody, I said, oh dad, this happened and so hurt my feelings, he said, piss on him. That was it, just piss on him. Piss on him. Who cares? He was just so like, piss on him. And so we would say stuff like that if I text my brothers, and he's like, well, his dad would, you know what dad would say? It's just, he's full of sayings. So we've been writing them down now, keeping a whole book of those kind of things.
How does
I'm so proud of him. Like, it feels so good to have him up here. And he was not very, he didn't talk a lot about his time in the military. He did military police, and then when he came out of the military, he did like worked at the prison for so many years, and just kind of stayed in that kind of line of work. Did parole officer for a long time, and then retired from his own security agency. So he was kind of a private person. So I don't know how he would feel about being up here, even though he's outgoing. But he didn't really brag on himself. But I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of what he did and who he was. Seeing him up here every time we drive down, it means so much. And it's so funny too because my bonus mom is Japanese, and I'm like, he's right by the Japanese restaurant. That's awesome. So we love it, and yeah, so happy to see him.